Let's Qunea yakwahik katyuhan Yahana Costa Junia Adataya Yutakwatin Was Adataya Yejikachtune Shukwaya we beginning Tlingit Kuku Weta Ya Aksha Achik Adasa Aitia Adusa Wa or Adusaya Wasa Wushakawadayi Wasa Ade Wushakawadayi Ya Yatatsu oh gosh the Tinachiyati Ichtidiku Yataya is a team. Yatatsu. I call adjectives, adverbs. Yata oe dot gwash. Nang iyukatangi aya kakwa ak aya yata akakawe we kashuk kukaya kakshihiti. Ushkadach gartu da adi hayukatangi dat kukahadis klay jinkat kadech awahi yata aya kone yakuhi naskiyakir anach aya yekwati. So this evening I was thinking about 4 things, and we can pick which ones we'd like to do. There's continuing with our beginning Tlingit workbook, just moving through that, probably getting the body parts, the feelings, wanting, needing, and I think it moves into kinship and ends, and then I think the chapter after that is coming and going. So we'll just keep moving through that. There's also adjectives and adverbs, just to start looking at something else, right? There's these parts, major parts of speech in Tlingit. And then the words that you guys have selected, and I think some folks have sent me some things which I haven't put onto this yet. And so we'll make sure I'll get those up by Thursday if you've sent me words in the last week or so. And then the 4th thing is this language summit that's going to happen here in Juneau in a couple of weeks. And so just sort of game planning for that. So any place anybody wants to start? We can do any of those things, all of those things.
Language summit.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the language summit, and those of you who are online, I hope you have a chance to attend. The dates are November 12th through the 15th, I think. Is that right?
What's on the 12th?
Remember.
What day of the week?
Is it the 13th?
I think it's Tuesday, 13.
13, 14, 15. Right. All day. And then we've got interest in adjectives and adverbs. Those will be next. Okay. So the idea came about after just sort of sharing some information about how many speakers we might have left and what that's looking like. And then an idea came about to try and get them together. So a couple things to know is everybody is welcome to attend. It's going to be recorded and I think broadcast, and so it does have a pretty specific format. So it's not going to be like, if you've been to an immersion gathering, it's not going to be like an immersion gathering that we've had in the past. It has some pretty relaxed formalities. This is going to have it's going to be ramped up pretty high. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is really capture a lot of language use, so it's not your typical kind of learning environment. We're really going to try to push to stay in the language as much as we can. And the fluent speakers have a certain place that they sit. And then the advanced learners and the fluent comprehenders or understanders, folks who can understand the language, like they can understand pretty much everything, but for various reasons have a hard time maybe talking or just don't talk very much. And then, and so there's going to be activities from the morning all the way through the evening. And so there might be some things, I'll have some more information next week about, like there's meals and stuff, but there's not enough of a budget to just really provide meals for everybody. There are travel and accommodations, but that's really for the fluent speakers with the hope that other folks can get here through various programming funds if that was possible. And then there isn't the opportunity to see those. So we won't be having, the class that week is just going to be there, and really encouraging you to attend as much as you can. And we'll sort of look at that as our focus for that week, and then resume after that as far as our regular class and how we kind of do things. So anybody got anything to add or questions? Or
something that I would really appreciate as an intermediate learner is that if somebody at the summit says something absolutely amazing, maybe we could have a little follow-up the next week and talk about it and say, did you hear so-and-so say this? That is really cool, and here's why. I think I would learn a lot from that, because I know I'm not going to understand it all when I'm right there.
Yeah. And Ms. Cheesh, so one of the things that leads me to think about is there will be live translators there, but then as an intermediate learner, like I experienced this in Hawaii, where I really wanted to hear it in Hawaiian, but I didn't always understand what was going on. So I'd have the headphones on and then off, and so this is something to think about wherever you're at, or folks you might know who want to go. Let them know that there will be live translations. Gyana 8 says, I could host someone from our class visiting from out of town. So that's also wonderful to think of if anybody can host anybody or knows anybody that can host anybody. I know some folks will probably be coming on their own dime. And so I really appreciate everybody's dedication and hard work. And yeah, we'll certainly grab things and sort of point them out. And the whole thing will be recorded, and I think at some point much of it translated and transcribed. And this is how a lot of the Downhauer books came into being, especially with the Because We Cherish You speeches at a gathering very similar to this that occurred in the early 1980s. And so, yeah, that's other thoughts.
Is the translation going to be English to Tlingit and Tlingit to English? I'm not clear.
I think the idea was, where we last left off is they would be translating whenever it's in Tlingit, but not necessarily. In Hawaii, we did notice that when people switched to English, they translated it into Hawaiian. So that's when we always had our headsets on, because we thought that was really neat. I'm not sure if they're going to do that. I think the recommendation from KTOO was to not do that, but I think it'd be fascinating.
Where is it going to be?
Centennial Hall.
Okay.
It'll be in the main hall. There'll also be a few breakout sessions, and so maybe Thursday we can just sort of look at the agenda just so we could see what's going to happen. Because we also have to be a little bit strategic here, because we have next Tuesday is the Power and Privilege Symposium. So classes at UAS are on hold so that folks can attend that, and you are all invited and encouraged to participate in that. But that means that we won't be having class next Tuesday. And then, so that gives us the Thursday after that, and then the week after that, we'll be at the symposium for our class. And then the week after that, I'll be in Hawaii defending a dissertation, and then we'll sort of come back after, and then we'll be sort of into wrap-up mode and other stuff kind of fast. And so we got to make sure we take advantage of this time, and we've got stuff to do. I'll probably have someone teach that class for me on that Tuesday when I'm gone. And so, but these are just some things to keep in mind as we're sort of looking at our semester coming to this culmination. Other thoughts or questions?
What I've heard is that the leads up to that, if you want to get in, you better get there early, because there are different sections of the room. Okay, so all of those 3 big ballrooms are going to be in use, and the fluent speakers are going to be at the front, and then some rows for the comprehenders, and then maybe the teachers, and maybe the students. I'm not sure. Yeah,
We're going to be in the back of it.
and then there's going to be a cordon, and then the public will be behind the cordon. I don't know where we would qualify, before or behind the cordon,
Oh, well.
but maybe they'll find out.
Yeah, and so that's something to think about is,
Yeah.
and if the format or the structure seems sort of like off-putting, then we should talk about that, because
That I think should help. But isn't there talk about color-coded name tags?
yeah, and people are bound to get upset because there are all kinds of people. It's going to go all kinds of different directions. There'll be people who can speak, who probably were overlooked. There'll be folks who say they can speak, but maybe they can't speak, and so there'll be some complications and some things that'll cause discomfort. But I think this will be the largest gathering of Tlingit speakers until we can get our numbers on this really big upswing. And so,
Channels.
yeah, I think there'll be 3 Haida speakers and 3 Tsimshian speakers as far as we know.
And I don't know what about the breakout sessions. I guess everybody can blend.
So are they all meeting together, the Haidas?
Yeah, except for some breakouts, right?
At what time of the day?
I think, I don't know. I know I don't know.
Do they have a website?
9 to 5, maybe? Something like that. And then for dinners. Oh. And I don't know who's allowed to go to those.
I guess if we don't know about it, we're probably not.
We're probably not on the list. Well, you can see I don't know much.
Let's see.
Renee might know.
Yeah, let me check on the dinners. I'll advocate for you guys to be full participants, and my goal is to really, I kind of get this thing, I don't have a pen, but like really so that you think you want your fluent speakers to all be together, because Tlingit is extremely endangered and they just don't have chances to talk. And then around them, you want your most advanced learners, and then your intermediate learners, and then your beginners. And one of the reasons why you want to sort of do this, and this idea comes from F.N. Gardner, is if they can see that people are understanding them, they're more likely to just continue, because it's a very common thing. Like I've seen fluent speakers who they are hired to come and tell a story in Tlingit, and they walk in and then they say, nobody's going to understand me, I'm not going to do this. And so we're trying to avoid that from happening and to really maximize the chance to be in the language. And so the goal is, it's not to sort of put people in their place or anything. I know it's going to feel very weird for a lot of folks, and but my goal was to always put the learners right near the speakers. And then if people want to just come see what it's about, and it's always a fascinating sort of thing to think about folks who are around the language quite a bit or who want to come around the language, but have not made it to that. You know, and sometimes we gotta be real careful about how we say this, because sometimes it wasn't with this group, but it was with another group. Was they were saying, well, we want the serious learners. I was like, well, don't say serious learners, because I'm sure everybody's serious, but you know, there are folks who are sort of, you want to acknowledge folks who are putting in the time, and you guys are putting in that time and putting in that energy. And we also want to be able to connect with each other and see this is someone you can speak with, and to really encourage you and encourage ourselves to move into the language and to stay into the language. And I think it also reveals that we do need to have more language gatherings where we do have low pressure and no cameras and all those other fun things. And so, but this is one of many things that's going to happen. Sorry. Okay. Is your volume?
I have you on mute.
I have you. Will you just turn this on?
Yeah. Okay. Other thoughts or questions, concerns? I could certainly bring it to the group.
Kunsa, about how many will they be bringing in?
I think they're estimating about 80 right now. I think they're up to 50 fluent birth speakers,
Mm-hmm.
of which I think there are only about 60 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've got almost everyone that can still travel. Because there are some birth speakers who can't really talk anymore. They're into this realm of some dementia and stuff. So.
You know how I can do this? It's still
Okay.
here. Haven't had it.
Is there a registration for this?
I think they are going to have you register when you're there. Just there's a record that you are there. It's going to be recorded, so I think there's going to be this sort of.
Is there a website?
There is.
They don't really have any. It's
No.
the same one they've had for. I mean, it's just like a save the date thing. It doesn't say when and where.
Yeah, I think they just have an article about it right now.
So disheartening. To me, it is.
Yeah.
I lost it.
I see when.
Is it starting on a Monday then? Is that
I lost it.
through
Going to
Thursday,
Zoom.
Wednesday?
Um,
There's limited parking. So that's another reason to get there early.
I think when you get onto it, there's a part that asks you.
Does it?
Hitchhike.
You can do that.
When I get on mine, I put that I don't.
I could walk
Didn't have this problem in Zuni or
across the bridge.
Park City.
I could park
Yeah,
in the
it's
school
only
and just
because
replace people too. It's not that bad. Of course, everyone just parks at Foodland.
You know, on my laptop, I have to click on a certain
Yeah, anytime there's
thing.
overflow at A and B Hall, then everybody's at Foodland.
At the museum, underneath.
But they lock it after a certain time.
Yeah, there's a little one that says
But
So
this is going during the day.
yeah, it works during the day. They don't mind if you use it.
How do they even know?
Well, my brother has a show there if you want to come. It's opening
Oh, okay. So now,
first Fridays,
Sa'i'ach, can you hear us now?
Wednesday days. So it starts on Friday.
Okay.
It's reset.
Is that spooky? Oh, wait, I guess there was some Halloween stuff that was going around. Anybody catch any of, there was some Halloween phrases that I think some folks were sharing. Okay, I took a picture, a screenshot, so I'll just read them off my phone, maybe. Maybe I've got them here, hold on. So here's some Tlingit Halloween phrases. Where did I find these? Oh, from Goldblatt Heritage Foundation. Let me see if I can find these. Guess this is they were tweeting it. So it's scary. Kushachation. 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 So this is a construction where there's a verb, like, you know, so kushachate would mean like for something to be scary. And then you're going to get either shun or chun. And it's usually going to be a CH with an apostrophe. So it's going to be shun or chun. And that's a suffix you could put onto a verb, which means it gets that way easily. That's really how, and there's a whole bunch of these. I'll show you a bunch of examples. It's easy to wash. It's easy to, you know, and so this means it easily becomes scary, I guess is how you sort of say it. And there's a verb. There's a couple different verbs to talk about being scared. And this is the sort of most common one, to be scared of something. And then to say, maybe I wouldn't translate this one as I'm scared, but more like, ah, right? So this is, or yikes, maybe. And this one is atskani.
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 And this one, I think that G should be underlined because it comes from smoke. And it's, they say it's like a zombie. Like, I don't know the traditional, like old use of this word, but it does like refer to a ghost. And there's certain foods that also have this name in it, like watermelon berries. Which is why I think a lot of Tlingits don't eat them. They're edible, but I've heard from some elders that we don't eat them. Anyways, this one is Siqiqawu.
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 Something to be orange, like the inner bark of red alder. Sheikh Yachyati.
Sheikh Yachyati.
Sheikh Yachyati.
Sheikh Yachyati.
Sheikh Yachyati.
Sheikh Yachyati.
And to be black in color. Uch Yachyati.
Uch Yachyati.
Uch Yachyati.
Uch Yachyati.
Uch Yachyati.
Uch Yachyati.
Yeah, Sheikh Yachyati.
Sheikh Yachyati.
So you're saying the W before the X.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Sheikh Yachyati. Yeah, and I end up rounding it before, right? And there are other cases where, and maybe it happens. Some of them, I think it's more alarming than others, like Yao or Yao. But I don't know. It's probably not that big of a deal.
It's the kind of a thing that people would write papers about. So you have the spectrogram of the, and make a determination. This person always, that person never, or it's mostly.
Right. Yeah, like, and then there's in some of the ways that the future forms are written, they used to write them a different way. Like when you look at the Naish story, when you learn like kakwa for I'm going to, or kakwa, but you look at how they're spelling it, and it's different, but it's because the W is just popping up beforehand, and it doesn't, you could probably spell it either way. And this is probably one where maybe we could spell these SHEIWX, but maybe it's just getting too long. So this is what they have for Halloween masks. I'll tell you like a little bit how this word works. So this is one of those words. So it's the one that somethings, like chita, chita, chuta, and then chut is to chip or adds, chit is to sweep, shit is to slide. But what is this one? It's the one that, what do you think?
Yeah. From your face.
It could be from ya, but in this case, I think it's a verb root. Right? Usually when you have the ending, there's a verb root right before it, especially if it's a two-syllable word. Yeah, it means the one or ones who do that verb.
So what's that root?
What if we made it long?
Yes.
Yesh, right? So this is, so yesh, there's a lot of things to say about yesh. And I want to say, which is what Austin Hammond would say when he's telling these Raven stories. He would say, please forgive me, whoever has Raven as a paternal uncle. And then everybody would laugh. They just go, bah, ha, ha. But so like Yesh, when we explore that name for Raven, I was reading this one account of a story, and it was by Frank Italio. And he just kept drilling it. Like when Raven was born, he never had a name. He got his name from that Tide lady when he started messing with her, and she called him Yesh, which is doo-doo butt Raven. And then that Yesh as a verb means to pretend to be something you're not, to act like you know what you're doing, but you don't. That's what that word really means to us in Tlingit. But it's not that we don't have respect for Yesh as a character or as the birds that are out there right now. But there's something about the quality of those, of Yesh as the trickster and Yesh as those birds, that it gives us all kinds of things. So this one, it could mean a Halloween mask, like you say, Yesha,
Yesha.
Yesha,
Yesha.
Yesha, Yesha. It could also mean like an imitation, like Yeshadana would be counterfeit money, right? Like it's trying to be something that it isn't. Right? So that's really what this thing means. And that's probably why it works well. Achkeit is a mask, but that's for dancing. So we don't want to use, these are the things where like in the Tlingit realm, that means mask, but it's really is in there. Achkeit, right? There's this other thing that you're going to see. So yesh can turn to yesh, but there's a couple other words like, I want to spell these, hold on. So let me turn off my spelling stuff. Don't check it, don't fix it. So we have this word, and then we have this word. And so one's a verb root, but what does the top one mean? Or what is it?
Sand.
Sand, right? So everybody say shale,
Shale.
shale,
Shale.
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 So what Tlingit likes to do is if you start stacking things up to make compound words, everything tends to get short and low, except for the last one. But there's a couple of things. I don't really know the total rule here, but you'll see which ones they are. Here's another one for some reason, right? So this is where I can show you how this works. So if you've got sheo, which is the sand, but if we go inland, and then we have sand, and then we have a thing, and then we have this relational marker, this is going to combine to form a single word, which is the name of a clan, right? And what is it going to be?
WAD.
So there's a few things that happen. It's sheo becomes shao. Short, low, that EI sound changes to an A. This is just something that happens sometimes, not every time. I haven't done enough sort of experiments, but I've seen it a number of places. There's like a sandy point if it was a place name, made into a place name. And when you make names for things, you should be using these compounding kind of rules. It would become ah, but you gotta make sure you get that, or else you've got like PP point, So we want to make sure that we're just catching these sound shifts, because when you have which is dance, and then you have ka, and then you have ut, the way that these things are going to combine is they're going to become, Kate. And these are just other things. When ka and ut get compounded, they become Kate. Ye and ut become yate, and they stay low. And this is just something that Tlingit does pretty regularly.
In both cases, the vowels are swapping places.
Yeah, right? They're moving.
There's, you've got EI and then you've got for WAD, W, and then the I, and the shle.
Right.
The EI, and then and then
Yeah, the
Yeah.
And we expect the EI to get shortened to the E sometimes, but there are a couple cases where it'll switch to an A.
But I wonder if it's when there is already an A in the word. I mean, in the compound.
See, it could be, because plus in some cases is going to be A, right? And then A, when it gets contracted, will sometimes switch to So there could be something there where like there's this sound and then it switches over to this other thing. Because so like te is a rock or a stone, but if you said te, so it's going to go long and low. It's going to make that switch, right? Or you'll say te sani. It's going to be pebbles, te sani. But then a rock peninsula is going to be tokayi. So then that one also switches to the A. So just some vowely things. So October is the big moon. Disclaim.
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 Oh, there was a request to spell Sandy Point. Oops. Get out. Well, now we get equals. Okay, there. Blood is she,
Sha,
she,
sha,
she.
sha.
The vampire bat sucks blood from people. Kasheyi katudach aseh. Oh, okay. I know how that. So I had to look at that verb for a second. So this is pretty interesting because this verb root, anybody know what the verb root is for this last part? There's a verb at the end, right? So kasheyi, people's blood, katudach, from inside of people, and then aseh. And it's not aseh like we just saw for dancing, unfortunately.
Must be to suck.
Yes. So this, let me go show you where to find this one. So we'll go to Tlingit, verbs, scene. We're going to go down. I'll show you where this verb is. It's right here. To nurse. Right. And so this one is. So this is the verb that we're looking at. Asha. And then the repetitive form is ashech, like it does this on a regular basis, right? And so the way that I had heard this was in aushisha, like she or he nursed, right? And so the verb root for this one is ah, which is also the body part that the babies are nursing, right? And so this is one with quite a few kind of moving parts that are in there. But here's another case of the ah going to the a. This is another thing that you're going to see as you encounter more Tlingit verbs, and you're like, okay, well, there's the verb, but why is the bat dancing in blood inside people? It doesn't make sense. But then you start sort of, if the shteich doesn't make sense, then you try to say, okay, well, I know that a closed verb, here's the way it works. If a verb ends with AA, like so there's a consonant, whether that's cha or ta or sta, but if it has that open ending and it ends with the A, like a double A, if it closes, you're gonna get EI, right? And then you're gonna have another consonant there. It's gonna make that switch. And then if it ends with OO, if it closes, it's gonna go to EI. And the capital C is a consonant, right? So you can see some examples of this, right? So here's cha, and when it closes, we see it become a chain, a sheikh. And then there's another one like ta, to sleep. Then I better let this go. So here's sleeping, ta, wuta, gakata, nakata, natach. So when you see that tach, and these are just sort of steps to just follow as you start to encounter verbs. Like, okay, well, he was saying like natach, but I don't remember, I couldn't find, any verb that was tach, or I looked it up and it didn't make sense. You'd also look for ta. Anyways, let's just go back to this vampire bat. Okay. Ha sheyi,
Ha sheyi,
ha tudach,
ha tudach,
ashech. You gotta get that ashech. Those two L's in a row, right? That's what's going on there. Ha sheyi,
Ha, sheyi,
ha tudach,
ha,
tudach,
ashech. Tlech.
Achlech.
Sheye.
Sheye.
Tudach.
Tudach.
Tlech.
Achlech.
And then it's your turn. Well, I guess it just means it's your turn. Like, I guess if you're saying your time has come, if it's this ominous Halloween thing, it might be different, but we're not going to say those words. Eat kuaha.
Eat kuaha.
Eat kuaha.
Eat kuaha.
Eat kuaha.
Eat kuaha.
How would I say, it's my turn?
Eat kuaha.
Eat kuaha. How would I say, is it my turn?
Eat
Kuaha.
Eat kuaha. Is it my turn? Right? And this one is a verb root. And the verb, there's like hechwa and there's he. Well, hechwa is, I guess those are nouns, right? But hechwa could also be a verb root. And hechwa in Old Tlingit would mean like to use some, I don't know, I guess, to use some traditional knowledge to improve somebody. But it can also, it can backfire. Like, for example, when a child is born a long time ago, if they wanted that child to be really good with their hands, like really crafty, they would take susani, the pine cones, and tie them around their hands because they're going to be like a little squirrel and just really good with their hands when they grow up. There's certain things that they could do, like there was an elder who said they did hechwa on her ex-husband because he was young, he got really sick, and so they wanted him to be strong. And it worked, but it left him super mean afterwards. This is what she said. And he was just a really mean, aggressive, violent person. And so you can do these things. It could be babies, especially like to sort of guide them into things. Hechwa could also be to try and give someone good fortune. So it's kind of using what might be considered magic to help somebody. And then he is to use that sort of energy as well to harm somebody. So hihua is the way that they would say it. And another way you could say it, just witchcraft, would be he. And a spider is kanas'at. Well, I've always heard it as kanas'at. We'll say it like they've got it. Kanas'ati. Kanas'ati. Okay, so those are some Halloween terms, right? I think I got a few others. Maybe I'll dig them up on the break. But I want to talk a little bit about adverbs and adjectives, right? So this is as we want to make our language more dynamic. And I guess after break, we should also see if anybody has any dialogues, if anybody didn't have a chance to go yet. We can do those on Thursday too. So an adverb modifies a verb, an adjective modifies a noun, right? That's the sort of the base level of how these things work. For Tlingit, the adverb works best when it comes just before the verb, right? So it usually comes just before it. We've already learned a couple of them. Which ones have we learned so far? Kunach. So kunach and kudach and tach, those are all adverbs, right? Now we say it wasn't good, it was really good, right? And so these are things that you'll hear speakers use, and I'll put this list up there so you guys can keep it with you. I've got another one that has a whole bunch more of those chun and shun type of ones. There's a whole bunch of those. But these ones are sort of ones that, they're just alphabetical here. And I'll try and think of some examples that I've heard. And so the first one, then I'll also talk about kind of where they come from. So you see a lot of them that use this cha, and ch are little particles that they don't really appear by themselves. They always grab onto something, right? So in this case, the first one we have is chakeka,
Chakeka.
chakeka,
Chakeka.
chakeka,
Chakeka.
chakeka,
Chakeka.
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 So if I had, we got our kids like a little domino set, and our boy, he calls them damios. So if I was up here setting up my damios on this table, and I did it for about 30 minutes, and somebody walked by and bumped that table, and they just all like just crumbled down, I might say, I worked on that for nothing, right? So this is how this one gets used, right? And there's another. It's totally interchangeable. They come from a different place, but they work exactly the same as this next one, as this one down here. Anich. Anich.
Anich.
Anich. Anich.
Anich.
Means it was for nothing, right? And so this one, they did a story, little exercise about like this cat that didn't want a bath, and they had to go find the cat. It was like a language exercise to try and figure out how Tlingit uses doubt and speculation. And at the end, the guy finds his cat and he gives it a bath. And Selena Everson said, you tried to hide from me, but it was all for nothing because I found you, right? And so these ones, the first one, the verb root is qayq. So it's like for something to swing, like qayqa is a swing or a hammock, the one that swings. So chaqeqa, everybody say chaqeqa,
Chakeka.
chaqeqa.
Chakeka.
It's a fun one with those double, my buddy in Tustin calls it a back G, those double back Gs. But it's like you pushed it and it just swung right back at you. That's how that one was described to me, right? The other one means it's just out there on the beach. There's some phrases like this that have to do with being on the beach, which are usually not very good things, which is just interesting in Tlingit. And we'll see some examples later. But it's like it just got left on the beach is kind of how it was explained to me. So those two could be used, and it's a pretty rare situation, but it's like somebody tried, but it was all for nothing, right? Okay, so this one. Chakugeyi.
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 Oh, chakugeyi.
Chakugeyi.
So this one is basically like recklessly, right? And so usually I've heard this one used to talk about pretty kind of things being pretty negative, like they just didn't do a good job. It was done really sloppy, in a sloppy way. But then the way that, I was working with one elder, and she was getting fired up. She wasn't really, I don't think she was mad at me, but she said, I don't just talk any old way. And she was like, I talk correct, because she was really stressing that she was taught how to speak correctly and stuff. So if you say this about something, just understand that people could get upset, right? If you went to some clan's function and then somebody overheard you for some reason saying, boy, they just did that thing really carelessly. Like then the fight's gonna happen, right? But it's good to know how to say it. And then, are these found in one of our books? I've got a shorter list in Hausanech Hayukatangi, but I had collected fewer of them at the time. And then I saw Juan Klein, does the qat is it a suffix? I'm not sure which part that was. Was that back on the Halloween phrases? What was that at? I'm not sure. Oh, the first one. Oh, qeqa, that one. Yeah, so, well, qeqa is a verb root, but when you say this, qeqa, it's got to be the complete thing and it comes right before the verb. So a lot of times you'd say qeqa, and then it's mostly going to be like a perfective because it's already happened. And you're really saying, well, that was for nothing, right? Like, like wasted work, wasted effort that it didn't come to any sort of fruition. I mean, I guess you could probably use it in the future if you wanted to. Like I have a friend and he was in the Air Force and he listened to Russians like on the radio, and then they kind of decommissioned his whole program, but then they didn't know what to do with him, so they had him just listen to radio, but he never reported to anybody and there was nobody for him to ever report to anyways. So I guess every day he could probably say, I'm going to go work for no reason at all. Right?
But the is a suffix.
Yes, that part.
The one that whatever's.
Right. So that part is, it's a pronoun, right? Just like we learned, khat, hu. There's a whole other group of those, which is which is some of them, right? So you could say, ye khat yati, that's how I am. You say ye yati, that's how you are. You can say ye yati, that's how some of them are. Not all of them, some of them. So Tlingit does have a set of pronouns for that. But there's this kind of interesting thing that happens only with a certain set of things where it jumps to the other side of the verb root and it becomes a noun. It's a funky thing another funky thing that Tlingit does. But then you start to watch for them. Khasha, shita, qeqa, or qeqach, I guess is the word for a hammock or a swing. Khut'a, right? So we'll see some of those, but it does come from a pronoun.
But because it's stuck on after a verb root, it's
a suffix, yeah.
It's behaving as a suffix.
Yep, and then these things that we're looking at are adverbs. So this whole thing before a verb, and now you're just using the verb a little differently, right? Like, for example, this one, which could be said any one of these three ways. You could say, ayak,
Yeah.
ayak,
Yeah.
ayak,
Yeah.
ayak,
Yeah.
ayuk,
Ayuk.
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 That means like all of the sudden, right? Like I'm telling this story and then a piano falls on his head, right? Or whatever the thing is, right? To indicate like this verb that we're talking about happens super fast, right? And so there's lots of different uses for this, like to say, like, and suddenly this cat jumped out, or suddenly the waves came over the boat and nobody was ready, right? And so it's just like what you're indicating is like this verb, it happened, and not like the action of the verb, like someone was running fast, but just like ayuk adahushi would be like we're all sitting here and then somebody just jumped up and took off really fast. We had no idea why they ran away. It's not about how fast they're running, it's about how fast that sort of action kind of took place. Okay, let's do a few more. This one would be, depending on how it's used, it usually means long time ago, but it could also mean for a long time, right? Ak, 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 ak. so that, and if you start, like if, say I'm going to tell you like some story, and I just said, chak, I'm saying long time ago. But if I said, and then he was up in this tree, chak, he's been up there a long time, right? It just sort of, if it's coming, if it's, it kind of depends on like just the whole structure of the narrative, right? Because you could also say chagudach, from long time ago, chagude, it's going to be a long time. And so this is, you'll see it used in quite a few different ways. But sometimes they'll say chagukawu, that guy from long time ago. And then there's this differentiation between chak and tlak, or tlagu. And tlagu tends to be like beyond when anybody can remember. Whereas chak is just this long stretch of time between now and when into time immemorial. So there's a few more of these, and then let's just talk about a few adjectives, and we'll take our break. An adjective can come before a noun or after a noun. For Tlingit, there's two types of adjectives: ones that come before, one that comes after, right? And so some of these you just might recognize, like Sean is old, Yis is new or young. So for example, and some of these are built into certain names. There's a Shukach Adi name, Akeish, good father, right? So this one comes before a noun. It means it's a good one, right? Akeh.
A.
Akeh.
Okay.
Akeh.
Okay.
Akeh.
Okay.
And what kind of noun could be a good one?
Cake.
Cake. Good dog, right? Then this one, clean.
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 Many, lots of. This one works better for things without a head, because you could say shayadahin as a verb, and that's like a bunch of heads that all move together. It's kind of how that one, the logic behind it. So you could say shayadahin. There were lots of people there. There were lots of horses, dogs, penguins. But if there's a whole bunch of papers, clean works better. Okay.
People say, plain gonna cheese, or they say gonna cheese plain. Do you know, is one correct and one incorrect?
They're both fine. Some people might say they prefer one over the other. So like plain, gonna cheese, the literal sort of interpretation of that would be many thanks. And then gonna cheese plain. So these are both adjectives, right? And then gonna cheese plain would be big thanks.
But you can't say plain ganache cheese.
No, that has to be the order. And I have heard somebody said that an elder said to them, claim ganache cheese claim, but they're also being kind of cheeky and just having fun. I don't know if you can really, it's probably not good practice to try and double up your adjectives.
That's a good example of some come before and some after.
Exactly. Yep. So a couple others. Let's see, what are some useful ones? You might see this one quite a bit, to be strange, and that's another maybe good Halloween one, kasaye. And this one comes from a verb. Kasaye is a verb. But then kasaye could come right before a noun. So let's just say this one, and then I'll give you an example. Kasayeyi.
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 And so there's kasayeyi gucha. That's a Tlingit noun. Anybody want to guess what that is in English? Kasayeyi gucha.
How do you know it?
It's a thermos or a thermal, like a mug, insulated mug, because it keeps things hot for a long time. And so probably a long time ago, people were like, oh, that's strange, right? And so I think kasayeyi qanch is the strange tobacco, right? Which is something I got legalized a little while ago. And then let's take a look. And so here's an example of one to Tlingit, which could mean like the Tlingit version of that thing, right? So it could be Tlingit, like if you were trying to differentiate between a rabbit that you might be like domestic versus a rabbit that lives on Tlingit country, you might say Tlingit qachi. That's a Tlingit, that's a rabbit that lives here. Or you might say Tlingit naati, like the clothes that our people wore a long time ago. And so that's one way to sort of differentiate between some of those things. Some of the ones that come after are like shan, which is old, sak, which is a pretty fun one, and that means it's going to become that thing. Like if you were, you're cleaning a deer, wequakan, gwash, qone aya, qayihash, qayetki aya ich hasik ewawuz. Wanaksawe wequakan aya yijaki. Ha atchai sak. Like if you were cutting up a deer, starting to cut up a deer, and your kids came and asked you, why did you kill that deer? And you might say, oh, it's going to become our food. And so that's sak. There's also a certain set of stories. Sometimes the raven stories are collectively called ye sak, like it's going to become raven. Or icht sak shkashnik, the story of how someone was going to become an icht. So it's used sometimes like that. But I'll put this whole list up there so you guys can look at it, and we can start you can just start looking for examples, but I think it's also just something to add to your boxes, your collection of boxes. Here's my boxes of adjectives. There's not a whole lot in Tlingit. So adjectives in English are like big, red, blue, fast, right? And so like it's the blank thing. And adjectives in English like to come before the noun, right? So you don't usually say, oh, this is my dog old, right? But in Tlingit, they can be on one side or the other, but they can't move. They're just sort of built in to be on a side. And so usually we'll mark it with that dash, we'll put it on one side or the other. And then we'll just let folks know. And so there's the Tlane right there. So Yak Tlane would be a big boat. Hit Tlane would be a big house. Ta Tlane would be a big person. Okay.
Are there constraints on the order of adjectives as there are in English? Like I can say a big old car, but I can't say an old big car.
Oh, right.
Big old green car, a green big old car.
Oh, right. Yes, yeah. So English has these certain spots, right? And it's like you can pick something from here, and the language just has that logic, and you just know if somebody does it wrong, right? I think in Tlingit, I think you could only have two. For me, I think it's just like one big wheel, and you could pick one, and after that, you've got to use a verb to describe it. That's my guess, but because I don't think. So here's some of them combine, like Tlingit would be a bunch of big ones, but like I don't know if you could say Kate Sakushan, Like it's like there's only two wheels on either side of the noun, and then there's these adjectives that you can grab. But once you've grabbed one, that wheel's locked up.
How about if you had like a mean old dog?
And he's fat.
Mean old fat dog.
Yeah. Those would probably go into, I would probably say the Sean would sort of be on there, Kate Sean, but then the rest would be verbs. So tesh, tush on, oa, way. And there's two ways, I guess you'd probably say woodlanetli, Kate Sean. So that's probably what you do, is the two verbs would be unkind, fat, and then dog old would be the old one. That's how I would probably put it together. Other speakers might do it different. And then there's, for people to be fat is different than for animals. And so because when animals are fat, that also means they're ready to be shot. Because, looking at it from a hunting perspective. Klein. Yeah, Bill, I see. Klachanis. Klein. And so this is one, the question was, is klein one? Klein. And so this is one where people probably say klein like they say claw instead of klein and claw, right? And so klein is big. And so that could go on to any noun. You could say Kate klein. You could say hit klein, jak klein. Yeah. Yeah. And so you'll see it in names. Ka klein Kla, I think, is a Tlingit name, the mother of the big person. And Ka klein is a unique construction because it could mean literally like that's a big person, but it could also mean like that is an important person. And then Tlingit is usually great-grandparents. But I said that one time and an elder laughed at me. And I was like, what? She said, I thought you called me Big Granny. She said, no. Yeah, Ka-Klein. Yeah, away. I would expect it to be Ka-Klein. And so, but also as we learn more Tlingit, we'll also realize that there's lots of Tlingit out there that might need some minor adjustments, but we always want to be careful, right? So if someone stands up and says, my name is Gooch Klein, you want to say, Gooch Klein, right? You want to maybe just find a time to talk to them. And it depends on the person. I know I've corrected people and it has hurt feelings and I feel bad about that. But at the same, and so try to just find where the right attitude and time and environment is. I get corrected all the time because I make lots of mistakes. And so it's okay as long as you're conscious of trying to say, okay, I remember I used to do that, or I remember I still do that, right? And so, okay. Clean. Okay, let's take a break. Jinkat, Witness, Squash. I think we have a diet. Are you guys, Yengi, Wine? You guys ready for your Yana 8 Ka Anya Nachtla? You guys want to do your dialogue? I'll just mute myself here.
I'm not sure if Anya Nachla is there.
I'm here. Hi.
Oh, so gook, let's gook.
Asawa.
Cook.
Asawa.
Yana et aya.
Nishka wasa hot yigudi. Kachwe itu wasagu.
Kahwe yak e. suwasus ka sugar. Kach kakuch tahini katek ayachat chwasein. Ye eat ge yan waha.
Ye di chadlach. Gach tuchit ye yagwat tachini katech ya yanatain.
Yak gunash chish.
Wasa zantik ihini.
Zantikahini tlesh wasa. Ziak. Rochester, New York. Ach huch uawut. Dutla kadu ish city. Ach chan gushuk jinkat katagu. Ka ach wu gushuk jinkat kakejin katagu. Sitkach de iwastin. Wasa iati.
Yak shkun dot adkladzati. Kak ak kwus helwasa get utishkun plain tu nach yakagudi.
Wasa iti nach iti itu.
Ach tu wasa gu wuch yachya de tuch.
Ah, ach yit zu wuch yach yada tuch. Kakashuk plage tu sigu. Seattle City. Gude sa ituati.
Set Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Katu, Oregon.
Yak
Dasa yejene.
Wusa yis ach ye jeneyi nak huagut. Yidat chatka jin kajagu.
Dasa yejene.
Ach tu sigu ka yahayi kauch shahidi. Tachini ach it waha.
At Katucha.
That's it. Day away.
Hakunach Goodness cheese. Wuk echawe. Let's see, I guess it'd be great if you guys could all send me what your dialogues are or were or are going to be, just so I can give you some feedback on them specifically. And then I'll point out some things just generally that I tend to, spot now and then. But these are fantastic. You guys are doing amazing stuff. Anybody else have one, or we can do them? We'll keep going. I'll try and keep track of. I haven't kept track of who's got them and who hasn't, but I could look at the list and figure it out.
Yaktashe and Yacht on.
Oh, let's see. Yacht ka yaktishi. Yitko agesigu. Di ide kukwahai. What do you do? Yacht. Yaktishi. And gayone. What he ide kakwahatsu. Yakawe yi yakau. Yi inye
Koatun wasa iati.
Eat yet our wa kua.
Oh, hatsu ka ich eat yan uaha. In haha.
At Heish I haha.
Kuch haha.
Wasa iati yach.
Ach tuwa segu.
Wasa yati iat ya yagi koatun.
Yak
Wasa kuati zanta kahinich siti kuatun.
Kukligus Kurnas art Wasa Kuati Kitchanach City.
Siu dakwasatan ka kosi at.
How? Yesde ya kunahain.
Kudach soy ya kin ya.
Los Angeles kuake kunak kuata.
Kuchwe.
Yakecha, we're gonna choose. Yakecha. Is that everybody? I think everybody had a chance.
No.
Like,
Kuti Shawa.
oh yeah, Shakutsi Shawat.
She told me she might not be here.
Chosin Yati Gengeoneqa Shakutsi Shawat. Yeah, one, okay, so Hachanes. Yeah, just one of you, Han, just send me the dialogue. And I'll put them together on a document and we'll just sort of go through them at some points that I can just sort of look at a couple things. Okay. I see Shakudzi Shawat on, but I haven't heard a confirmation yet. So maybe I'll just wait.
Hi, sorry. Can you hear me?
And gay you a name? Okay. I would have just sat here all night. Okay, if you guys are ready, go ahead.
Kuzisha, what? You gonna start?
I'm sorry, I'm just running from laying down a bawling toddler. So I'm finding my notes.
No worries. We can wait. And was there anybody else? Okay.
Get heard back, but I have it.
Okay.
Okay. I have it if you want any of the printed stuff that I've done.
Okay. Maybe you guys can go on Thursday.
Yeah, it's been the technology connection.
Yeah. Kind of a running theme this semester. It's okay.
It's Google Docs.
Right?
Internet.
Someday we'll just have like the Tlingit network. Like we'll have our own building and classroom and like we'll be holograms of each other. I don't know. It'll all just work out. Okay. Shakutzi Shawat, tell us when you're ready, and maybe we'll move through a couple of review things to get us kind of caught up to where we left off on the beginning Tlingit workbook. This is page 100 Kajin Kat Jin. And I think it would be a fun exercise to do at some point. Oh, sheesh. There I am, just me. I think it'd be fun to practice counting up to 20. I've been doing this with my daughter by ones, and then by twos, by threes, by fours, by fives, by sixes, by sevens, by eights, by nines, and by tens. So we'd call that Tleqa, Dakhqa, Naskqa, Dakhunqa, Kejinqa, Tledushuqa, Dakhadushuqa, Naskadushuqa, Kushukqa, Jinkatqa. And just thinking about just Tlingit numbers, it's kind of fun because a lot of times I think when we learn a language, we just tend to count by ones all the time. And I realized this because we could all count really fast. And we started playing cribbage and we counted really slow. And so it's just kind of a neat exercise. But anyways, so some general body parts. Akhsha.
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 Akhik.
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 Akhjin.
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 Akhek.
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 Akhwu.
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 Akhut.
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 Achu.
Achki.
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 Achus.
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 Achya.
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 Achshachawu.
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 Achguk.
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 Achwaq.
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 Achle.
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 Ache.
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 Achuch.
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 Achleituch.
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 So then we did this ya, gusu, yadu. These are ways to just practice body parts, you know, and sort of say, you know, gusu ishechawu, gusu ijin, gusu ichus. Simon, and then we did, well, I guess we'll just do these like as a singular, you know, we said yi shat, yi shi would be the yi shat, yi shi would be the plural form, so I would turn to yi, and shi, which is a command form of a verb, to touch something, would be yi shi. But we'll just do the singular. I shat shi.
Shi.
Ichikt shi.
Ichikt shi.
Ijint shi.
Ijint shi.
Ikekt shi.
Iklekt shi.
Iwoot shi.
Iwoot shi.
Ichut shi.
Ichut shi.
Ikiet shi.
Ikiet shi.
Ichust shi.
Ichust shi.
Iyat shi.
Yat shi.
Ishachawut shi.
Ishachawut shi.
Igukt shi.
Igukt shi.
Iwakt shi.
Iwakt shi.
Ichlut shi.
Ichlut shi.
Eit shi.
Ichait shi.
Iucht shi.
Iucht shi.
Ichleitucht shi.
Ichleitucht shi.
So this T at the end is a suffix, which means to arrive at something, right? It means to be at, but it also means to arrive there. And so you'll see it used for motion when we start talking about motion at some point, making it to a place, touching something, going up against something, resting on something.
So if I say, shit, I'm telling somebody else to touch my throat.
Mm-hmm. And then this is another command form. It means to shake something. So you could say, Ijin tlachwach.
Ijin tlachwach.
Ijin tlachwach.
Ijin tlachwach.
So my uncle waved, you know, like in small towns, everybody waves. When you see my uncle in Agway, he goes like that. He just really So then if someone has an illness, and it could be any sort of, some of them get pretty specific. Just like my hand hurts, like arthritis, or I banged it, or, you know, something. Then you could say, achjin yanik. Most people would think of that as a sore throat. Achshan yanik would be like I have a headache. So some of them get kind of specific. Others could be just sort of, it's just achy, it's sore, my foot is sore type of thing. So if you're asking somebody for the specifics, oops, keep an eye on this thing.
Where does the N come from in that action?
Yeah, so that Shan, I think, there's something about the head where I think I had two theories about that, because you say Shantu as well. So I think there's just this N on there, but I think it could also refer literally to like this area right behind your temples, like this kind of part near your brain, kind of. Because when you say Akshan Yanik, a lot of times you're going to feel it like right there, like a headache. But that's a good question, because usually you just say Aksha. But when you're talking about inside of your head, that's when the N usually pops up on there. I'm not exactly sure why, though. And Shikudzi Shawat says the notes are at work. So we'll try it. If it doesn't work on Thursday, we'll pick it up on. We'll just get to it. There's no big pressure. Okay. So if you're asking where the pain might be, Gusuwe Yanik.
Gusuwe Yanik.
Gusuwe Yanik.
Usuwe Yanik.
Gusuwe Yanik.
Gusuwe
Yanik.
And then, Akshan Yanik.
Akshan Yanik.
Achletuch Yanik.
Achletuch Yanik.
Achki Yanik.
Achki Yanik.
We're not asking for any of these things. We're just learning how to say them. And then same, so there's the ach. So now you could say du, right? Wasayati ish. Duki owekunach yanik. His knees really hurt him, they bother him, right? And then we could learn, as we learn more language, to get into more details, what might be going on. But for now, it's just saying like where the pain is. My back hurts, right? And these are good ones to learn. And it was fun. There was a video we did of two elders, and they just sort of got started, and I gave them this idea. Just trying to get them to talk about being pregnant and having babies, which is not something that I think it's like to talk about too publicly. But then we thought, well, we need to learn how to talk about this. And so, and they did. It was Bessie Cooley, Keishi, and Tla'ustla, Ida Kalmigan. It was such a great video because it starts out and Bessie says, Masas, she says, and she just really starts going on about just aches and pains, right? Which is part of life. So now we'll get into just some other states of being, feelings, having, wanting, needing. I think we talked a little bit about this one. So let's talk just for a quick second about this thing. So there's this other way, there's certain verbs that don't have what we'd call like a direct object, where it's coming in your direction, it's coming towards you, it's coming to you, it might already arrive. These ones are going to have some form of ach, or it could be ach, de, ha, yi, hasdu, and e. And there's going to be a T or an N or a DE in there. The reason why this whole thing exists, because in Tlingit you can't put one of these suffixes directly onto a pronoun, right? You can't say, you just can't say ach de, right? It's got to be ach I de, towards me. And then ach in, with me. Ach it, it arrived to me. That's how those things work, right? So in order to take one of those suffixes on, you get this E part. And there's just certain ones that you might have already heard, like ku atlatuwu comes from ka e shlatuwu, right? So ka e is with people or to people. Gunashish ach I yitlatuwu. Thank you for teaching me. Ach I. The things that you were teaching came to me, right? And so this is how this thing works. And there's just sets of verbs that it uses that. And one of the reasons, like in kachwanik, I told you. In, it's with you. Kachwanik, there's an object on there, but the object is that thing that I was telling, right? And so there's kind of a lot of layers to it. But in this is a good case to sort of see one. right? Because something arrived to me. Uwaha means it made it there, and it's not really clear how it got there. It moved invisibly, mysteriously, it suddenly appeared. That's what this verb root is doing, to move without being seen. And this could be invisible, to be erased, to disappear, to suddenly appear. And that's what happens, is hunger appeared to me, basically, or made it here. And so the hunger part is yan. Yan is hunger, right? So collectively, when we say, I'm hungry, the way that it translates in Tlingit is, hunger has arrived to me. And to say that, you say, Ach eat yan uwaha.
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 So in the Tlingit workbook, there's this sort of more than you wanted to know, perhaps, sort of thing that's going on over here. So the way that this is structured is, here's the phrase, here's the translation of it, and then here you get two parts. One is, what are these individual things? What are all the things that are in there? If you sort of blew them up. And then underneath that, what do those things mean? And there's probably other ways to like pull this thing out and to write it a little bit clearer. But it's sort of like, here's ach, and ach means my. It's a first person singular possessive pronoun. And this is called glossing Tlingit. A lot of us learned how to do this from Zeosh, James Crippen, following his techniques. This EE thing, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just there so that we can attach a suffix. The T means at, to be arrived.
Attach a suffix, like the T?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right. So ach ide, ach eat, ach in. Those are the three main ones that you're going to get. Right. So you're going to get a possessive pronoun like ach, and then you're going to get eat, means arrived to me. Ach in means with me. And then ach ide means towards me, right? And so you're gonna use these in different sort of things, right? So, because I could also say things like, "Hetwasa ake uti in kagudi." Is it okay that I come with you wherever you're going? Like if you said, I was like, "Where are you going?" I'm going to the store. Is it okay if I come with you? Right? And so in, ach in, ha in, du in, has du in. And it could mean just that, like together, right? Being together. Wuch in is just like our being together, right? And it's using one of these things right here.
And so is it only following pronouns, or could be somebody's name?
Yeah. Yeah, because you could say achtla in, chak in. Yep. So, and usually when we'll write this, you'll see it in like a verb. We'll say n plus ee. And then sometimes there might be like one of these things, which means you could put a suffix on there. Okay. So now we're hungry, right?
The kids sing it.
What's that?
The kids sing it.
Oh, they do?
Ach, eat, yan, uraha.
Oh, yeah. I think there's like, ach, eat, yanu, waha, eat, yanu, waha.
Culture camp.
Yeah, nach tu'at, something like that. So then, yata would be sleep. Ta is another way to say sleep. When you say it in this verb, it usually comes out as yata. So to say, I'm sleepy, sleep has arrived to me. Ach eat yatawaha.
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 Eat yatawaha.
Then this one we should start recognizing, oh, that's an object, right? So this one works different than those other two. Chat with the hwet.
Cut with the what?
Chat with the hwet.
Cut with the whet.
Chat with the hwet.
Cut with the what?
That's I'm tired. So then if we go through here and we wanted to say, I still want that there. Okay. So if I want to say, you're tired, how do you think I'd say that? So wait, let's start with chat with the hwet.
You de quet. E with the quet.
You de hwet. I'm just going to copy that. So there's, you are tired. He or she is tired. With the hwet. We are tired.
You de quet. To the quet.
Not to. To would be like we're doing it, but the object one would be ha. How de hwet. We're tired. Y'all are tired. You de hwet. And then they are tired. Hus would de hwet. Right? Hus would de hwet. So we would have hus do eat yan uwaha, but then hus would de hwet. And so this is a big part of Tlingit, is just saying, oh yeah, what type of pronoun is that? And then we just sort of figure out which one goes in there, right? And so we would do the same thing with this. So I'm thirsty. Chat shawa kuch.
Cut shawa cook.
Chat shawa kuch.
Cut
Shawa cook.
Chat shawa kuch.
Hot shower cook.
And so this one starts with shawa. So it's going to have a few different sort of things, and I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. So with the w, that's going to contract to just the w if the pronoun before it ends with a vowel. Eu de hwet, how de hwet, you de hwet, would de hwet, hus would de hwet, chat would de hwet. Right? And so we've got that soft kind of a beginning. Where shawa kuch, it can't, that sha can't contract. And that sha means ahead. Right? So then in this case you'd have chat shawa kuch.
Shower cook.
Shawa kuch.
Shower cook.
Shawa kuch.
Shower cook.
Ha shawa kuch.
Ha shower cook.
Ye shawa kuch.
Ye shower cook.
Hus shawa kuch.
Hus shower cook.
Okay. So then we see the eat part. This is the important part. It arrived to you. So the ge comes right after that part. Not after the verb and not after the pronoun. Eat ge. Right? That's just something to sort of start figuring out. Is at first, you just sort of start noticing it, but then the logic is the ge, and it turns it into a yes or no question. Right? The only answer to the get thing is yes or no, right? And so in this case, are you, and this is something that you'll hear, as people start learning Tlingit, using Tlingit, it's wonderful. But if they come and they say, Hine tuwasagu, like that's not really a question. Hin ge ituwasagu, or you could say hin ituwagesagu. That one I've heard both ways. I think it's just fine. But in this case, are you hungry? Eat ge yan uwaha.
Eat ge
Yan uaha.
Eat ge yan uwaha.
Yan uaha.
Eat ge yatawaha.
Eat ge
Yatawaha.
Eat ge yatawaha.
Eat
get
yatawaha.
Then when we see the ones with the object that is part of the actual verb, now it comes after the verb. Iwdechwetske.
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 Shawakuchke.
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 And then, so this, now it gets a little bit more interesting. So yan uaha would be hunger came, but this is asking like, because you could also say ach eat blank uaha, and that could sometimes mean I'm craving this particular thing. And it's kind of interesting how it works, because it's like a halibut has arrived to me. It's kind of how it logically works, but that just means I'm hungry for halibut. That's just how it sort of works, right? To want something and to hunger for that thing. It doesn't mean like you want a halibut for a pet or anything. It's like once you put a noun in there, it's usually you want to eat that thing. That's just how this sort of one works. There are a couple of sort of things like if you said, you could put in here like a couple of nouns that are body functions, right? And so they're pretty direct ways. And so this is something, most languages have these direct and indirect ways of saying things. Like you'd say, I've got to step outside, right? And I'm just sort of signaling to people like, or, you know, I got to go visit these bushes, or I've got to use the bathroom, or I have to pee. It kind of depends on how well we know each other, how public the thing is. And Tlingit is the same way. So you could say, I'm gonna step outside is pretty close to what you're saying. You could also say, my pee has overpowered me, and that's getting into more like we know each other pretty well, and we're gonna have a chuckle about it. And you could say, eat the need to pee has suddenly arrived. But again, like that's a pretty direct way to say it. There's not a lot of people that I've heard really say that, you know, and so, but it's a similar sort of pattern. So in this case, you could say, like, so if someone says, ach eat yanuaha, this could be a nice response. Like, what are you hungry for? Right? Dasa eat uaha.
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 And what might we be hungry for? Chach ach eat uaha.
Eat uaha.
And there's ways to say, like, when you get pretty specific with like eating the cheeks or the flesh. If you said this, no one's going to think of you just chewing on a big halibut whole, right? But this is how you would say it. You usually just say whatever the thing is. What else might we be hungry for? It's probably dinner time pretty soon. Oh, ach eat uaha.
Eat uaha.
Ach eat uaha.
Eat uaha.
So Thursday we'll pick up on this, and we'll go through a bunch of yummy things, and then we'll also get into wanting, needing, some of the differences between that. Liking is also, it's the same thing, right? So you say, ach tuwasagu. It depends on the context. Like I could be saying I want it. I could just be saying I like it. And I like that and want it all the time. So that's a really good example. Anyways, and so Thursday we'll see if anyone has dialogues left to do. We'll also, we'll go over our word list. Junk, I forget. So let's start with our word list on Thursday. We'll start going through that. I think that'll just become like our finals week activity. So no, I don't want you to stress over it. We'll also start talking about your final. Is writing a letter? Is that what I said you were going to do?
No.
No.
Okay, so we'll see. We'll see what everybody's comfortable doing.
I was just
We'll come to an agreement. I don't want angry moms. I want happy Tlingit learners. So whatever works best for everybody. And Gunchish Yakecha Shekachtu Steen Dankonyaki Hana Yakecha We.